again, I appreciate each of you for having me here today. And as stated earlier, my goal is to go over leadership and entrepreneurship, and I want to honor our timeline, so forgive me if I expedite as I go through this. Greetings, again, my name is Minister Micah Dobbins, one of the Associate Ministers of the Church of God Mission in Jonesboro, Georgia. I am also a show host, and as I stated before, a serial entrepreneur. I would like to thank Bishop Ricky J. Davis and his Grace Worship Center for having me to come out and speak today. All right. Thanks also to Deacon Bruce Hannibal for reaching out. Me and Bruce go way back. That's my homie, boy. Bruce knew me before I became a Christian. So I'm sure he has some stories to tell. I want to give honor to all the clergy and the fellow members that are on this panel speaking today as well, and all that labor in the Lord. Last but not least, as I stated before, my beautiful wife Micah, 19 years, and my 6 children, who I appreciate for supporting me and being with me through thick and thin. All right, so I'm here to talk to you guys today about entrepreneurship and leadership under this theme, Men in Action for God. Right. It is by His grace that I'm here, and I'm hoping to impart some type of wisdom that will help you as you go throughout your life's journey. All right. My experience as an entrepreneur actually started from childhood before I ever knew what the word actually meant. As an adolescent youth, I would make business cards by hand, and I would tell people I would solve your cases for $0.25. If you lost the TV remote, your car keys, or an important piece of mail, I was the man. I was going to find it. By the time I was 13, I began to cut grass, and I would bring a push mower to 2 of my buddies who had ride-on mowers, so they would get the bulk of the money, obviously. But by 14, I had set out to be a rapper, and through doing this, eventually I made my way into cable television, national publications, and a regional tour. By the time I was 21, I was a head A&R for an independent record label and management company where we managed 2 WNBA players and a certified gold recording artist named Lathan. At 26, I was a supervisor for a Fortune 500 company, R.R. Downey & Sons, based out of Illinois. And I worked there for 13 years before I left to start my own logistics service company, which I still run to this day. At 37 years old, I published my first book, a testimonial called From Blaze to Glory, which sold out of my book release, and I do YouTube videos with my wife and teachings under that channel on YouTube. With all of that said, I would like to pivot and discuss the topics on hand. First, beginning with, what is leadership? In short, and there's so many ways we can try to define this, but leadership is influence. If you cannot influence people to follow you, then you will not be a very good leader. Some can bear the title and may even have the position, but I assure you that in the business world, if you can't convince the people to follow and lead and accept the vision that you lay out, you will not be a leader for long in that company. Your success as a leader is going to be determined by the style you choose to manage. Many look to books like The Art of War or other philosophical teachings for leadership. However, my method that I prefer is to follow the style of Jesus Christ, whom I consider the greatest leader ever. Many have laid down their life and died for his vision. So he's the greatest leader by far. Despite Genghis Khan, despite Attila the Hun, despite Hannibal, and all these other great leaders that we've known, none can measure or compare to Jesus Christ. And his style is known as the servant leader. A servant leadership style empowers his followers instead of micromanaging them. It leads by example from the front instead of barking orders from behind. When we talk about a servant leader, it is based on the teaching to treat others the way you want to be treated. Therefore, you give employees a feeling of being a part of a body instead of just being a tool that can be used and easily replaced. So you treat them as if they're part of the body. You're connected. And you take note of every little thing that takes place as the leader. Not micromanaging, but observing and leading from the front so that you guys can reach your goals. When we look at Jesus, he didn't set things up like this. He didn't say, hey, Mary and Martha, y'all my secretaries. Peter, John, you guys go out there and you take care of things, and I'll be in the office. Just call me if you need me. That's not how Jesus did it. We find that Jesus wanted to be where the people were and be in the midst of the action. So as a servant leader, we realize we gotta get engaged. We can't leave it to the people to decide on their own, but give them a clear understanding and then walk them through the path so that they'll know the way to go.
All right.
When we look at Jesus, by the time he did send the disciples out, he had adequately equipped them for the mission. A lot of times in leadership, people fear teaching others what they do because it's job security. If I show you what I know, you might get my place. So you have this barrier where you try to keep them at bay, but as a servant leader, you realize that there's nothing wrong with pouring all into your people because they want to be able to carry the vision on should God call you home or should you move on to other greater endeavors. So we want to equip the people. When you look at the life of Jesus as he equipped the disciples, in the beginning he would tell them, come unto me, come, let me teach you, come on, let's sit down, let's break bread, let's get the fish and loaves, come on. But then as you continue in the scripture, you find Jesus telling them, now go. Because once you've equipped them, you're able to send them out so that they can fulfill the vision at hand. He knew that the disciples had gotten the lesson. Now again, because we have limited time, I want to jump to our next topic after leadership, which is entrepreneurship. In this segment, I want to discuss two key points of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And that first one is what it takes, and the second point is how to gauge the endeavor that you choose to do. The definition of an entrepreneur, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses taking greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. When you decide that you want to be an entrepreneur with that in mind, you have to remember that it's going to take something extra for you to be able to stay in the race. And what it takes is the grit and the ability to take on a calculated risk, which may fail. That's the thing about entrepreneurship that a lot of people miss. The odds that the business can fail. See, the employee can sleep well at night, not worrying about if your deliveries came on time, not worrying about if the payroll was done right, if the state requirements for employee insurance was met, if the net 30s are paid, are the investors or the stockholders happy, are we operating in the red? See, the employee didn't have to worry about any of that when they go home at night. All they have to worry about is, did you get the hours right on my paycheck? Did the direct deposit hit yet? And what's on Netflix tonight? That's all the employee got to worry about. But it's the entrepreneur, it's the owner that is taking the risks that can cost him everything in the end. There are two fears that you must overcome if you intend to be an entrepreneur. And these are the fear of failure and the fear of success. Many do not take the steps needed to start a business because of these two fears alone. Failure is the most popular one because people think, well, what if I try and my business fails flat? What if no one ever buys my product or no one ever patronizes my service? Failure will leave you paralyzed at a dead-end job with no light at the end of the tunnel, afraid to step out on faith. Fear of failure is a dangerous thing. The other is fear of success. That's when people think, well, what if I start a business and I get overwhelmed, I can't handle all of the orders that I got coming in? What if too many people begin to call me for my service? You know, I get a little nervous and butterflies in my stomach, and then decide, you know, what if I get a lot of orders and I can't keep up? And to be honest, this could be just as detrimental as the other fear if you allow it to grip you. And this is why I tell people who want to be entrepreneurs, you need to pray and ask God to give you guidance in every affair, because the Bible says perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. So knowing the perfect love of God and having a connection with God will help you to overcome the fear and the doubts that will try to cloud your mind as you try to step out as an entrepreneur. Now, how to gauge the endeavor is the last point I want to make on entrepreneurship. According to the SBA, small businesses are the lifeblood of the U.S. economy and create 2/3 of new net jobs and drive U.S. innovation and competitiveness. It is the small business owners that is the lifeblood of the country. It's not the big companies. It's the small business owners that employ the most people that are out there working and grinding and helping this economy function the way it is. All right? 44% of the U.S. economic activity comes from small businesses. Knowing this, you have to figure out what kind of business you want to create and how you will effectively, ultimately manage this business. You have what's called goods versus services. You have to decide if you want to sell a good, a product, or if you have a service. You cutting grass, you cutting hair, you clean it up, or you're doing carpeting, shampooing. What is going to be your good or your service? After you made that decision, you have to do what's called a SWOT analysis, which stands for the strengths of your business, the weaknesses of your business, your opportunities, and the threats to your company. If you see that there's no competition in the area where you plan to start a business, it can mean one of two things. Then you're going to go there and be the first success, which would be great. Or it can mean that there is no market in that area for what you intend to sell.
All right.
So you have to make sure that you consider before you just step out there in the entrepreneurial waters. Many will test the market through surveys or other means and be sure that their business will have support should they start it. What problem does your product solve for the customer is one of the questions you have to ask yourself. Is the customer a niche group, a small part, or is it something that can be scaled to a larger demographic? If you're making something for just women, are you making it for men and everybody? You have to consider this. It is always good to get a business consultant or a mentor before you begin to spend money on a business venture. Because as an entrepreneur, remember, you're the one that's taking all the risks. Not all entrepreneurs are leaders. Some have a vision and money, but they lack the influence and instead hire others to manage their investment. So don't be afraid to say, I might not be able to do this, but I know a young man that knows computers, and I got an idea for a computer, and I'm going to hire him and pay him to be my manager to make this business be successful. You're still the owner. You just hired your right help. All right. So you do that if you see a business opportunity, but you may not have the education or opportunity to pursue it or the knowledge or know-how. Find you an effective young leader that you can use and train and cultivate to work that business for you. You have to decide after taking inventory of your personality if you have what it takes or should you hire a leader for your venture. Yes, there are many benefits to being a successful business owner, but there are great costs as well, so choose wisely. I'm going to end on these notes. In 1994, Jeff Bezos quit his job as an investment banker, took out a family loan for $250,000, and started a virtual bookstore in his garage of his rented home with a handful of employees. Sounds crazy. You're an investment banker, and you quit that gravy job, took out a loan from a home you're renting for $250,000 to sell books out of your garage with a handful of employees. His first book sold in 1995. Today, Amazon's current worth is $1.7 trillion with a share price of $3,719, and the company's market capitalization has been as high as $1.88 trillion this year alone. While we may not have the next Jeff Bezos in the room, this is just showing you that having the right business can change your life and set up a foundation for generations to come. Again, my name is Micah Dobbins. I'm the host of a weekly show called The Micah Dobbins Show, featured on Misfits of Media. I actually brought some copies of my book as well from Place of Glory. For those who may be watching even live, you can order it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and you can find it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, where I have my podcast. And I would love for you to sign up for my monthly newsletter. Just visit www.themicahdobbinsshow.com and you can sign up there. Any show requests, speaking engagement requests, you can reach me there as well. And thank you again for having me today.